Well, good afternoon or good evening if you're in the USA. And if you are in Europe, then hopefully you're having a fabulous Friday night. And if you're up, then I hope you had a great time. If you're in bed, then catch the replay. And if you're in the Pacific Rim, it's Saturday morning for you. So I am Bruce, aka Mr. Simpler, Faster, Better, or most people here on LinkedIn know me as the guy in the blue shirt. And I am so honored to be teaming up with my friend and work colleague again, Miss Aasiyah. And so, Aasiyah, hey, we were just complaining about the heat, weren't we?
Yes. Oh. Yeah, look, the hair is frizzy right now. It's just...
I know. I have that same problem. I know. I had to go, I had to go do the simpler, faster, better thing with the hair, right?
Right. Yeah. Put lots of conditioner and stuff to
yeah, actually I had a buzz. See, I went for a buzz yesterday. All right. So yeah, tell us a little bit about where you are and some of the key things you've been up to, and then we're going to have a lively conversation about all sorts of things that have been going on in our worlds in the last few months here, since the last time we were live.
Definitely. Well, first of all, I am by the beach, so I'm not that far. And by the beach, it's still a little bit cooler here. I'm sorry, Bruce.
Yeah, I know.
Hot over where you're at. It's really hot there, but it's still okay. But it's humid, so it's not all that great. But I'm by the beach here in the area, so I'm really excited about just being here. And I don't know what your other questions were because they literally came out of my mind as soon as I thought about the beach.
Well, let's tell people a little bit about your big leap here, because you're starting to wrap up a pretty big journey that you've been on. So maybe set the stage with some of the things you've been up to in the last month, and also touch upon what's happening next Friday. I think that's a pretty monumental milestone for you, for sure. So yeah, just take a few moments to kind of center us, in the Aasiyah world, in the Dr. to be Aasiyah, right?
Yes. So yes, exciting news, because in the last 2 months, I've been working on completing my dissertation. It's a part of the doctoral process. If you're not a medical doctor, if you're getting a doctorate in something else, is you got to go through and do some research and you got to write about it. And it's a dissertation because it can be anywhere up to 200, 250 pages. So it's a lot of writing and a lot of research. So I'm finishing up my research on the feelings of inadequacy and imposterism. And I actually came up with a model which will be presented next Friday on my final defense. And then after that, I will go ahead and present it to the world. Only maybe about a couple of people know about it at the moment, aside from my chair and committee who've read my manuscript. But I've come up with a really great model that teaches people how to overcome imposterism and feelings of inadequacy, right? And next Friday, I will be doing my official final defense. It's scheduled for 11:30 in the morning. And for those of you who don't know what final defense is, so in the last phase of the dissertation, once you've gathered the research, you've done your findings, you've written about it, then you actually do an oral presentation called a defense, because you have to defend your study. You have to explain why the study occurred, how it occurred, what the methodology was for the research, and then you discuss what your findings were. You talk about, what your participants told you, what you learned from them, and then the information that you took from the participants into your actual findings. And then that's, basically your whole final defense. It's all of that. And then, it's a really celebratory milestone. And we're always encouraged to invite others to come to our final defense and attend, which I know you are, Bruce, and so is Gracie and everyone else that are, already saying yes to the invites. And it's just exciting because it just means I'm going to be done, and I will officially, hopefully by the end of the month, be called Dr. Aasiyah. I can't I have to wait until my degree is posted. So.
Awesome. Yeah. So if you see this either live, hopefully you'll hop on. If you know somebody that knows Aasiyah and you are in the live stream, because sometimes I can't keep up with the comments, please tag them. You just need to tag them to my profile page and they can come join us. And Alternatively, if this is in replay time for you, all you need to do is put #replay in your comment. And if you would like to be invited to watch Aasiyah do her final defense as a non-doctoral student, and then that would, I think, give her a huge boost of confidence to have, you know, several people cheering her on. So hi, Jeanette. Jeanette, all the way from up in the way high up valley. We were just complaining, Jeanette, it's super hot here where I live, and Aasiyah's by the beach. So anyway, yep.
He's like, anyway.
Live it. We will live it for sure. So yeah. So Jeanette, if you want to be invited next, it's next Friday, 11:30 Pacific, right?
Yep. If you want to attend, I did a post about it on my LinkedIn. You'll find it. Go ahead and let me know, and then I can send you a calendar invite.
Yeah, sure. Absolutely. Yeah. And Aasiyah's pretty tied into LinkedIn, so you can direct message her. And I know she's on other platforms. You have a YouTube channel. What's your YouTube channel called?
So I have a couple of YouTube channels. One is the Empowered HR Leader, which I'm just starting. So I only have about 2 episodes on there right now. And then my other one is Aasiyah TV, but I'm going to have to go back and repurpose and re-add some new stuff on it. So the channels are there. You can subscribe, and then hopefully I'll get some new content going as soon as I'm done.
I want to give people the option of how to reach out to you for listening to your final defense on July 16th. And again, of course, direct messaging is probably preferred, right, for you?
Yeah. So just direct message me. Yeah.
Yeah, and then I think it's going to be a Zoom. It's going to be with your people there at Pepperdine. So that's the other thing you missed out. Talk a little bit about the Pepperdine, because it's a pretty prestigious university. And yeah, Jeanette, I'm sorry, Bay Area. I always don't know what to call it. I'm sorry, Jeanette. So yeah, well, Jeanette's up in the Bay Area.
Is the Bay Area really hot?
I think it. Well,
it's hot.
I actually the far northwest Pacific coast was hotter than the Bay Area last week, so I don't know what the heck's going on.
And by the way, I hope you're okay, because there was a really large earthquake around Lake Tahoe yesterday. I heard about it, and I was like, well, as long as it's not here, so hopefully
right. It was a 6.0, and it threw a lot of dust up in the air and everything else.
Yeah, definitely did.
Yeah, Lo, it's okay. Yes, it's about to be. Yeah, I know. Sorry for that.
Well, it's okay. You know what? Hopefully you can venture over to the beach at some point.
Oh, Jeanette's been doing a lot of beach time. She took the week off last week, and congratulations, Jeanette. I keep pinging you on TikTok. I love your little TikTok videos to help people in their career transition or to just get unstuck. So kudos to you. It's do a really good job. I'm learning TikTok, but I'm not as experienced as you. So anyway, so we'll come back to that.
Yeah, same here. I'm learning TikTok too. And if you want to find me on TikTok, it's my username is @AasiyahInspired. So we'll spell it out for you.
Right. Yeah. @AasiyahInspired. Yeah, you can pop it in at the end. You can put it in under the replay notes. So
yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
So you wanted to know about Pepperdine. So
yeah, go ahead.
Pepperdine's an amazing school. You know, the campus, so the main campus in Malibu is beautiful. However, we didn't get the chance to go to the campus in Malibu. We were here in West LA, which is still pretty nice. You know, Pepperdine's really afforded me a lot of great opportunities. You know, I've been working as a graduate assistant with them. I've got 3 different positions right now over there, and I'm doing different types of work. And I really love it. It kind of gives me that step up in academia, because I do want to be a professor. And so, yeah, I mean, you know, Pepperdine's got some good stuff going on, you know, with their whole programs, and we're also adding certifications now. So, you know, I'll let you know more as they come up, but we're doing certifications, and I'm also helping with our Elevating Voices speaker series. So I help our director of the Center of Global Partnerships and Learning in putting that together and inviting our students, our alum, faculty to come in and talk on different topics that they've been working on. It doesn't have to be just research topics. It could be anything. You know, if you have your own business or a nonprofit, you want to talk about something that's very close to your heart, we want that to happen. So we've been doing that, and it's been fun. And then on top of that, I have my own podcast. So the podcast is called the Creative Woman Leader Podcast. And so it's right now I'm at 10 episodes, and then with the whole dissertation, I had to take a break. But starting after the final defense next week, I will be back on, and then I guess what I'll do is I'll just say that there'll be season 2 with 10 more new episodes. And so I've been getting some episodes recorded, and just really looking forward to getting those posted up ASAP. And so if anyone wants to follow and listen to the Creative Woman Leader Podcast, I'm on Apple, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, pretty much every platform I'm on there. So
So do you have a pipeline of guests already lined up, or are you also looking for guests as well?
Both. So I do have a pipeline of guests I've already been recording with, but I am always looking for guests. I mean, as a podcaster, we're always looking for good quality guests, for people that, you know, especially with the type of podcast that I have, it's focused on women leaders and focusing on really a lot of the issues that we go through as women, you know, as we're trying to, you know, work our way up in the world, not just in the corporate world, but I mean, just even in our communities, even in our, you know, what kind of differences are we making and stuff. And so so my podcast is always searching. So if you are interested in being a part of it, send me a DM and we'll talk.
Right. I think I'm going to set Jeanette up. I think Jeanette would be a very interesting guest for you. She's been doing some incredibly interesting leadership things. Like she says, she likes to have fun with her leadership teaching, but there's really always a good core. You know, there's a lot of gutsy core learning in everything that Jeanette does. So
yeah, Jeanette owes me a message because I already messaged her a while back. So she owes me.
I think Jeanette's been a little stretched on. Jeanette does a lot of different things, just like you do, like we all do, you know. So busy people are always busy, and good people are always super busy, right? So
exactly. But you know what? I think she'll be great for both the Creative Woman Leader podcast and the Empowered HR Leader, because I do need guests for HR, you know, type of topics, because there's a lot of stuff in there. And human resources is one of my niches, along with women in leadership. So,
do the guests have to be women? Because if not, Philip Davis.
For Empowered HR, doesn't have to be. Even for the Creative Women Leader, it doesn't have to be, because I just interviewed Dr. Archilis. I always pronounce
Angeles. Yeah, he's an awesome guy. He is so knowledgeable, and a lot of interesting crossover subjects between what you do, what I do, what Gracie does, what Dr. Deirdre does, and, you know, lots and lots of close connections, but we're all separated in different disciplines. So it's amazing. So anyway, you talked about global partnerships. So that caught my attention. So a lot of people know I was born in England. So I've worked in England, Mexico, Germany, France, and now the USA. So I'm pretty seasoned. Did a little bit of work in Canada, but not for too long. It's too darn cold for me. So I came back. So I didn't like the whole getting into Canada. It took me about 4 hours to get into Canada and to about 6 hours to get out. And I was flying as well. So that was not one of those good travel moments. But anyway, I've spent a little bit of time. So several countries. So why don't you talk a little bit about, some people that know us well know that we're about to collaborate actually on processcleanup.com. So why don't you talk a little bit about that and some of the things that we've been beta testing? And if you have an opportunity to add in there a fast tip so that Gracie can extract that, then go for it. So, talk to us a little bit about, you know, what you've gotten from that, and what you hope to achieve with the collaboration between UI and Gracie and others so far to date.
Yeah, well, I want so much for our collaboration to just be so sky high. You
So
know,
badass, you mean?
yes. Well, I wanted to say sky high. So there you go. But no, it's just, you know, honestly, it's a blessing to be partnered with you and to be working with you and Gracie. And I love Gracie. She's amazing. I owe Gracie a message, by the way, so I'll message you back as soon as I can.
She knows you've been like a little distracted, right?
Right, with this whole thing, but I owe her that. So, yeah, so when I started to process cleanup with you, I think that was really what got me to say, hey, you know, I want to team up with you and partner with you in this, because this is such a great venture. It's such a great, I think it's just such a great thing that we would do and that we are doing to help small businesses and, you know, people to be able to simplify their processes so that things go better and faster for them. And then, you know, they're able to take that time that they would have otherwise spent on processes on other things that are more important, such as their, you know, business, such as, you know, selling and doing the things that need, you know, their attention. So with me, you know, I know when you and I did it, we did the Simpler, Faster, Better program with me. I actually was in the middle of my dissertation at the time. I was just in my initial 3 chapters. And so, you know, we did our 4-week sprint together, and it was really great because you helped me to kind of see where I maybe was wasting some time in certain things, wasteful activities. You know, what were things that were serving me and what were things that were not serving me at that moment. And then being able to say, okay, let's let go of this so that you have more time to simplify and make this faster and better. And so that actually helped me to get through my first 3 chapters very efficiently. Right. And that's just an example of, you know, one of the things, right? I mean, there's so much that I know we can do together. And so
I think what was interesting though is that how we got to that point, right? So what was a little snapshot of how we got to that point is that I met you through Gracie Ruth Melendez, so the power of community, the power of networking. But more importantly, I met you because we were doing some one-on-one calls offline. And one day, I know I jumped on Zoom and it was like a different Aasiyah. It was like, and I said to you, whatever is wrong with you? And you were like, just so frustrated and so overwhelmed because Pepperdine, we were in the middle of COVID happenings and shenanigans, and Pepperdine arbitrarily moved the dates on you by which time you had to submit everything. And I remember that Saturday you were so overwhelmed and you weren't yourself. And so so I think that's the thing that people don't realize is they get themselves overwhelmed and not realizing that it has a really big impact on the rest of their life, and they can't see it. And the reason I mention that, and it's not to pick on you, it's because the power of having somebody outside of your circle kind of start to ask you questions about, well, you know, where are you frustrated? Why are you overwhelmed? What's holding you back? What would you like the process to be like? What is it like? So it's all those powerful questions that actually led us to realize, oh, well, why don't we just do a process cleanup on certain components of this accelerated timeline that you had no control over as well. So that's the other thing. So we had COVID that we had no control over. You had Pepperdine that accelerated your timeline that you had no control over. But what you did have control over is how you invested your time and how you designed the process to maximize the use of your time, right? So that was right. So talk to people a little bit about how that felt. I mean, obviously that was uncomfortable for you. So talk about the feelings that you had to kind of, you know, I guess relinquish or let go of, and realize that, you know, somebody like me that had no clue about what a dissertation process was, but I'm a process whiz, so I can help you, right?
Yeah. I mean, to me, it was, you know, I think eye-opening, right? Because we were going through the process, right? We're trying to figure out, okay, what are the things that we need to look at, right? To start organizing, what are these buckets, you know? And then putting those buckets together and talking about what okay, so here's what these activities are that you should be working on. Here's what's not working. And then to focus on what was working so that we would be able to, make it happen. And I think it worked because my preliminary defense, when I did it, it was much more organized because of that, because of the fact that we organized it. But I'm not sure if I'm answering your question, so you might want to.
I can jump in there because I'll try. I don't want to use too much jargon because there's a lot of jargon in what I do, and that also is overwhelming for people, and it frustrates people because a lot of people in my process arena, we use a lot of acronyms, and it loses people. But for me, the real defining moments were, when you really focus on what's working well. And then what we did is we got you to create a process that had flawless execution. So the stuff that was working well, we tried to either automate it or semi-automate it or make it so crisp and so simple to do that it just happened. And then what you were able to do is then focus your time and your energy on the things that weren't working so well, so that the process got rebalanced. So, they say, like, you go with the flow, right? Going with the flow means making what's flowing and going well, make it flawless in its execution. And flawless execution means it's going to happen time after time after time with very little effort.
Yeah, definitely.
And then what you were able to do is, because you knew those pieces were going to take care of themselves, you could then focus on the vital few things that were basically honked up, right? Or weren't working at all, or you didn't really have a process for them. So
right. And I think there were some areas I didn't have that process, or I didn't know, okay, well, what am I supposed to do with this? And it was just especially with the literature, because, there's so much literature that we have to read and go through. And I think even having those buckets, that helped, because it was like I was able to organize too. That was another thing. Organization, accountability, right? And action. So taking action on the steps that we worked on. Yeah.
Right. And then so I think we'll do a fast tip here. The other thing that you have completely blown past, you were really good at the organization. You were really good at the action. You were marginal on the accountability. So having that regular cadence. So my first fast tip to share with you, and you can share in return, is that the power of having a third party, and that's the beauty of a coach or a mentor, is they can really sharpen up your skills around accountability because of that. Just that emotional, personal pressure. Like, okay, how did you do, right? Did you get X, Y, and Z done? And it's either yes, no. So talk a little bit about how that felt. And then I also want to introduce, there was a piece of the puzzle that you were completely overlooking. And the second fast tip here is make sure you focus on your accomplishments and celebrate your accomplishments, right?
Yeah.
That was very alien to you. I remember the first time I said to you, well, what did you accomplish? And you said, well, you speak fast when you're on a roll.
Thank you.
And I said, okay, well, let's break it down. Oh, we did this. You did that, right? So talk a little bit about how that felt, introducing the balance between accountability and celebrating your successes.
Yeah. So, well, it's interesting that you mentioned that, because that's actually hint, just one part of the model I created for overcoming imposter and inadequacy. So we'll talk about that next week. But yeah, it's celebrating an acknowledgement. It wasn't that it was a foreign concept, because I've known about the concept. I think because we're such overachievers, we tend to ignore that part. And we don't necessarily always want to celebrate because we're not really thinking about it. We're just like, well, we haven't gotten to the goal yet. And the reality is that we do need to celebrate even the smallest little things. And that was something that, you and I discussed, which was very, for me, it was eye-opening, because it was like, well, if I'm not doing that, if I'm not celebrating even like just writing 2 pages today, you know what I mean? Then what am I going to celebrate later, right? So you have to celebrate all of these little things. And I highly agree with you that, working with you kept me accountable, because, you were, there, as a coach, as a mentor, you're still my mentor, of course. You know what I mean? So, you know, you're always going to be my mentor. So, and that's the thing, you know, having like that third party, like you said, that really does make a difference, because you have somebody else coming in that has no emotional attachment, I think is the way to say it, to what you're doing. There's no emotional attachment to it. It's more of, well, you know, here I'm coming in from a third person's point of view, looking at this and going, wait a minute, here's what you need to do to make this change, because you're looking at it from a whole different point of view. And again, you're emotionally attached than a third party would be, right?
Right, sure.
Yeah, and so I think that would be a great fast step right there, because if you're too emotionally, and I think this is the same for anything, just being aware when we go in to help simplify, make your processes faster and better, we have to understand the process of that you might be emotionally attached to what you're already doing. So how do we get you away from that so that you're looking at it from a more observant point of view versus I'm looking at it from just the point of view that I want to see. So there's no bias, right?
Right, sure.
You know,
Well,
there's no bias.
There's a not so well-known guy called Albert Einstein, and actually one of his laws, which is a complicated law, so I simplified it. I don't like complicated words, and this really works. When I worked almost 10 years in Texas, and they used to say, hey, we're just going to do that same old thing. So I came up with this term, same old equals same old. And what that means, or Einstein's version of that, is, you know, doing the same stuff and expecting a different result is the first law of insanity, right? And that emotional connection is so difficult to break. I mean, I have them all the time, and I constantly challenge my own self to be the product of my own product. But there's some stuff I can't emotionally let go of, because either I love doing it or I hate doing it, and it actually gives me something to complain about. So that's another thing, right? Yeah. But the real key thing to massive process improvement and freeing up idle time is you've got to change the process inputs to get a totally different process output. And if you're not prepared to, or you're not willing to, or some of each, if you don't want to do something in your same old, then there is no point messing with that piece of the process. You're just gonna, because what happens is you get into this spin. You get into this spin in the head, which is, oh, well, this is even more frustrating. Look, see, I tried this, but I didn't really change it, and then it didn't work. And then you have this self-fulfilling prophecy saying, well, I tried it, it didn't work, so this is a bunch of junk, it doesn't work, right? So
yeah, exactly.
Well, back to that, somebody who's the third party has to say, well, did you really change it, or have you just done same old in a slightly different way, right?
Right, exactly.
So the core to process improvement, making something simpler, faster, better, people way overcomplicate it, is if you want a different output from your process or a piece of your process, you got to change the process inputs that are driving that output, period.
Exactly. And if you don't change that,
you're going to get same old. And I say to people, that's churn, right? I mean, I do it myself. We all have churn in the head. And what I say to people is, the people that are really good at churning, they make really good butter. That's all they do. They never make cream. They can't reverse it to go back to milk. But, you know, if you're going to churn, then you're going to make high quality butter day in and day, right? But you are never going to make cream, right?
No, exactly. Because you can't keep doing it's. If you're doing the same thing again and again, then we have to go back and find out why. And it's usually emotional attachment.
Absolutely. Or it's a required driver that we don't have in our control, which is okay. Just set it to one side. Or if it's a required driver outside of our control, make it happen flawlessly and quickly, right? That's the goal of execution, right? If you can't change it, then don't spin your wheels on it, but go after the variable content that you can change, right?
Yeah, exactly. So yes, there's a lot of those things, you know, that we have to look into. So and that was, I think, for me too, I had to do that.
Yeah.
release those emotional attachments, just release it and go, okay, if it's not working, let it go. Let's start a whole new way of doing it. That's
right.
Better and better.
Yeah. And you and I both had some emotional heartache with that. It's like, well, do we really want to do that? No. And we did that ping pong. So that's the other advantage when you work with a coach or a mentor, you can ping pong in a safe environment, right? And you can beta test, you can try something. And if it don't work, then it don't work. It's not, as long as you don't put somebody's life at risk or you don't do something that's totally unsafe, it's okay. And the problem is we get that safety barrier in our head as well. And that's part of the reason why we churn and keep making good butter and not break out of it and make really good cream. So
yeah, exactly. So, but cool. Yeah, so it's good. And so now it's, working on just simplifying other processes and making things faster and better for other things. And I think that's what helped me get through 4 and 5.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It's really interesting because your energy level changed. Your, I guess, negative emotion around doing it completely changed. It almost went away. I mean, I know you had some moments and we talked about that, but again, that's the benefit of having that third-party person that understands the process and cannot be emotionally attached. Because I can say to you, well, did that really matter? Or, and I remember I was talking to you last time in depth. I was in my garage on the cell phone and you were stuck in a moment where you were churning on a process. And I think I said to you, well, what do you want to change, Aasiyah? And you said, and you were silent. It's like, oh, okay. And then there was another piece of it. It's like, well, what difference did it really make, Aasiyah?
Yeah, exactly. And this is why it's good to have that coach, that mentor. And if you can't get a coach or a mentor, then at least have somebody in your support system who'll be able to, who you can talk to, who's neutral.
Yeah.
Absolutely. You want someone who's neutral. You don't want someone who's also too heavily invested to the point where they're becoming emotional, because then it just becomes a mess.
Well, it gets worse because then you've got that person's energy plus the other person, and it actually has a raising to the power of factor. Instead, it's more than double. Then it becomes 4 times the amount of emotion and not just 2, right? So anyway.
Exactly. So we have to avoid that. And I think that's just the same. I know Gracie was just saying that too. Same old equals same old. Absolutely. So.
Oh, well, Gracie and I just, before we warmed up, Gracie and I just got off a call about that.
Yeah, no, you both had even met up. I think last week I saw that post about that. So that's good.
Yeah, well, the interesting thing was that I actually, I'm supposed to be the process whiz, but I set something up last week to make the process fail. So it didn't actually help Gracie do what I wanted, simpler, faster, better. So I said, okay, I can change the process. So it's having that willingness, it's me like, yeah, okay, I honked up. I mean, I'm a process whiz. I shouldn't honk up processes, but I do. I honk up my own, and I said to her, okay, well, I'll change the process this next week. So, so I'm gonna make a little process change, and it will make it simpler for Gracie, and it will make it more predictable for me. It's about that flawless execution. Predictability usually means you're going to get a flawless result, pretty much, anyway.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I think another thing too to kind of think about when we're doing a process is sometimes, a process might not work, and then this is why you can reverse engineer and go back and figure out, oh, will it work before you even put it there. So that's the beauty about process cleanup, like you said. Maybe there's something that didn't really work, but you're able to go back and say, okay, well, let's change it and test it out in a different way. And that's the beauty of that.
Yeah, well, one of the tools inside of that, which was, again, the acronym, it's PDCA, but it means plan, do, check, and adjust. If you remember on some of your tough parts of your process, we went through a couple of iterations of plan, do, check, and adjust. And that's, again, it works way faster and way better when you have somebody that's got the experience like I do to know when it's not really going to plan or how to check and adjust it real quick, right? So that's where the experience comes in. And again, people think, a lot of people think they can do their own process cleanup, but often they can't because of, well, the fast tip is get rid of the emotion. The second fast tip on that piece is have somebody that really knows how to identify when the process is honked up and not kind of okay, right?
Exactly. And sorry, my eyes. I didn't even tell you that story because I think I mentioned something about it. Like so about a week before when I was finishing up my dissertation, I got these Air Optics night and day contacts from my doctor, and I slept with them. She told me, you know what, even though they're FDA approved for you to sleep, don't do it. But I was so tired. I would stay up till 3 a.m. writing. I would be so tired for 3 nights. I slept with my contacts, and then about 3 days later, I was in pain. Both of my eyes here, painful, like to the point where I had to literally wear glasses almost all week this week, and I finally got them off today because I just have a little bit of a bump left. But it still hurts. I'm getting better, but it was just so bad. And I was like, next time, new process. You don't do that. You just get up, take the contacts off.
Well, what they didn't, I mean, I'm a similar user. What they probably didn't emphasize is that you have to build up to that point of being able to sleep in them. You can't just, you know, I mean, because basically what you do is you encapsulated all of the breathing characteristics of your eyes. I mean, that's why you went from total breathing all night long to no breathing. Yeah, I mean, your eyes can't adapt that.
Right.
I mean, so
something that they knew, because I can even feel it still stinging a little bit right now. It's not that bad, but it was bad. So people out there, do not wear. This could be a fast tip here, though. Do not wear contacts at night when you go to bed. Don't do what I did.
Or at least right. You've got to work up to it. And again, when I used to do that, I used to work up to it literally like 30 minutes at a time. Not that I'm a real good napper, but I used to work up to it 30 minutes and, you know, and it used to take me about a month to get to that point where I could have them in for even a couple of hours without it driving me nuts. But it's not a real good, healthy practice to.
It's not. Like my doctor was saying, you should take it off every night. So I'm like, okay. So if you see me kind of going like this, I'm not rolling my eyes. Literally, my eyes are just still adjusting from healing. It's just healing.
We got you. We got you.
Yeah.
You still have expressive eyes, no problem.
So
what's next? I know I know we got a little breathing space in our next level of our collaboration, which is you're going to do your final defense and you're going to get your doctor with your scroll and go do the ceremony. I'm not sure what that will look like, but we'll go do the ceremony. But so what's coming for the latter part of 2021, and then we'll hop off here because we've been chit-chatting about a lot of process stuff.
Yeah, we have. Well, so for me, obviously, my partnership with you and Gracie is one of the things I'm working on. I'm also, so once I'm, officially done, finally defended the dissertation, I actually want to take my model and I want to start creating a course. So during this last, this latter part, or I think this last, we have the last quarter starting soon. So I just want to use the remaining of this quarter left to kind of focus on getting this done. And then start kind of coming up with an outline for a course that I'm working on to help empower women in overcoming imposterism and inadequacy, but also I'm looking to get professor positions. If there's anyone out there that teaches at university, I would love, to know how the process, or if you know someone that can, help me get a job as a professor, that'll be awesome. So there's those two things. And then I'm also—
Aren't you flexible? Sorry, you're flexible in location on that, right?
Yeah, as long as it's close, as long as it's, I can do it online and, remote teaching. I can teach Long Beach, here in the South Bay, anywhere in the South Bay. So, location is not going to be that big of a deal. As long as it's not outside of California, unless if it is out of California, then it's remote. So.
Right. Okay. So keep it ideally in California, as long as it's in the state. And I know you've also kicked around, like you and I also kicked around, maybe we can team up to do some adjunct professorship. I mean, I I don't have the degree level that you do, but I have, you know, obviously a truckload of experience. So.
Oh yeah, yeah. And I mean, you know, I know they require masters and doctorates, but I mean, if you have experience, that should equal that. So
Right.
yeah, we were actually talking about maybe creating a class that we could provide as an extension, you know, because community colleges usually have extension courses. I'm also working on creating a certification as well. I'm supposed to be working on it with one of my professors. We're working on a women in leadership certification. So I got to find out exactly when we're going to get that done. But I think now that I have the bulk of my work, then I can add that to our certification process. But there's a lot of things on the plate, on the table, you know, certifications, you know, creating and selling, you know, a really great course to help all of you and empower women out there. My podcasts, my YouTube channels. And yeah, I mean, I'm not sure yet. It's still a thought in my head, but I might open up some group coaching programs as well. And that would be great because then I can go through those group coaching programs to help women, you know, with that process.
Right. Yeah. And then the other piece of that is as things are opening up in California, you and I have already done the work. We actually have a 3-day workshop that you and I would run to do some pretty complicated process cleanup work. It wouldn't be the sprint, as we call it, which is all virtual. But yeah, so if you are seeing this and you know small companies, big companies, whatever, that would really love to work with Aasiyah and I, where we could go on site, and it would be a 3 full 8.5, 9-hour day. But what we would do is we would take a really difficult process that's all hunked up, and by the end of the 3 days you would have a pathway forward to actually make it completely simpler, faster, better, and then actually come up with the measurables to make sure that, you know, when you do X, Y, and Z, it's going to give you A, B, C. So those results are guaranteed. Obviously it's a fee-for-service environment, but yeah, they will be guaranteed results. And if people didn't get the results, then they would get at least the course money back. So yeah, if you're seeing this ideally as a replay, or you think of people, Aasiyah and I would love to go do that 3-day workshop and give you the benefit of all of our different experiences. So
definitely, yes, absolutely. Oh, and I forgot to mention too, I'm working on my managed change practitioner certification. So I'm trying to get a few certifications done and out of the way too. That'll help.
Right.
So a lot of them will help. Yeah.
Right. Well, some of the managed change piece are already embedded in our 3-day workshop because we took the opportunity behind the scenes to make sure that we took the best of that design and the best of the design that I had. And I'm, you know, I am super confident. And the reason I say that is I used to do this workshop. I've done this workshop about 140 times before. So it always works. And it's, I have a textbook that's documented as a result of doing that workshop. So proven results. Yeah. So, and the textbook's pretty cool, right? Because you've been using it.
Yeah, the textbook is great. It's got some really good information and stuff. I mean, honestly, we should create a course that we can implement at the university level regarding, process cleaning up and how to do that. That could be something we could pitch. We'll see.
Yay, come on. Yeah. Hashtag Pepperdine. Come on. Let's get it out there. Let's see if they have an active social media monitoring and surveillance program. Let's put hashtag Pepperdine out there and have us come in. We would love to do a 3-day hands-on workshop adjunct course to show not only the university how it works, but also all of the university faculty resources, right?
Right. And so, you know, so that's a whole different process you and I are going to have to talk about because there's a lot of stuff behind the scenes that has to happen. But I mean, I'm saying in general, we can start working on that blueprint. Absolutely. And then once we're ready to get it pitched out there to the different, you know, maybe different universities, colleges, I think it'll be great to have it as part of their, you know, business, the business curriculum, or even curriculum that has project management in it, because I'm sure those people would like to pick it up. So maybe something we can even talk about, you know, with PMI. I don't know. There's so much out there we can do. So
endless opportunities. But if you recall, I already did that with the King's Lynn Academy. I know it was a UK advanced educational institution, but yeah, I wangled my way through all the different acronyms and terminology and converted it all, so it still worked.
Right, it did.
It always works. People just gotta have faith and belief and just pay a little bit of money, and it will always work. So
that's true.
All right,
very true.
Great way to end: faith, belief, and money. How about that?
Faith, belief, and money. Well, yes, you got it. Absolutely, absolutely. Oh, hi, Marlene. Thank you so much for joining, and thank you everyone for joining us today.
Yeah, thank you. I'm sorry, I was so engrossed with our conversation. I see Gracie, Maureen, thank you. There was a LinkedIn user. Jeanette was on earlier, but I know she does her family stuff, so I wasn't sure who the LinkedIn user was, but they did say hi. So awesome. All right. So what did I say? Faith, belief, and money. All right, Gracie, that's another 3-worder. So
yeah.
I have to figure out where we need to pop that into all of our curriculum, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. It looks like we've got great things coming up in 2021 for both of us, especially for our partnerships and everything that we're doing. So
yeah, it's an awesome example of how LinkedIn creates community and how community creates collaboration, and then collaboration creates that know me, like me, trust me. And then once you've got that, it's the Dr. Seuss story, right? Oh, the places we can go. So
exactly.
All right, awesome. Thanks for giving up crucial time here, Aasiyah, because I know you got a lot to crunch to get to July 16th. But we're going to be rooting for you. We're going to be on Zoom with you, and hopefully you can record. You can persuade them to record the Zoom of your events. That would be pretty cool too.
Definitely. I will make sure that does happen in one way, some format, one way or another. It'll happen.
Yeah, it'll happen. I know you're determined. All right. So hang on. Thanks, everybody. Good night. If you're still up in England or in Europe, go to bed. Go to bed.
Or if you're in Australia, I hope you have a good rest of your day.
Yeah, or if you're in the Pacific Rim. Yeah, right. It's Super Saturday already. And be safe to all of our USA time zone people, and thanks for all that you do to help us and support us.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me on, Bruce. Take care, everybody. Thank you.
Hey.